The New Orleans Saints have managed to keep a secret, one that might change the course of their defense. While headlines swirl around the quarterback battle featuring two young signal callers locked in a race for the starting job, something far more intriguing is unfolding quietly behind the scenes. It's not being talked about on talk shows, and it hasn't sparked viral debate. But inside the Saints facility, a rookie linebacker is steadily carving out a name for himself, without flash, without noise, and without needing the spotlight. His name is Danny Stzman. Drafted out of Oklahoma in the 4th round, he didn't make headlines on draft night. He wasn't touted as a can't-miss prospect or even featured prominently in pre-draft analysis. On paper, he was just another mid-round selection, a depth piece at best. But behind closed doors, the Saints coaching staff is seeing something that the rest of the league completely overlooked. They're seeing consistency, quiet leadership, and a relentless motor that's turned every snap into an audition. And Stzman is acing it. What makes this story so remarkable isn't just that Stzman is playing well. It's the context. He was a dominant force at Oklahoma, leading the team in tackles for 3 straight seasons and finishing his college career as a first-team All-American. Yet somehow he slipped out of the first 3 rounds entirely. While draft boards lit up with names from powerhouse programs and media darlings with flashy reels, Stzman's tape told a quieter but more complete story. And the Saints were paying attention. Scouts across the league were lured by hype. They favored linebackers with better combine numbers, more social media traction, and stronger brand names. Stzman had none of that. Oklahoma was no longer in its peak form, and Stzman wasn't the face of any viral campaigns. But where it counted, on game tape, in film study, and during high-pressure moments, he was consistently making the kinds of plays that separate real contributors from college stat machines. And still, more than 30 teams passed on him multiple times. That's what makes the Saints' move so intriguing. They didn't chase buzz, they pursued substance. Their 4th-round selection wasn't a shot in the dark. It was a calculated bet on football intelligence and impact. And early signs suggest it may pay off sooner than anyone imagined. Insiders close to the team have noted something unique brewing at otas. The buzz around Stzman hasn't been public, but it's been persistent behind closed doors. Coaches aren't just pleased with his effort, they're genuinely impressed by his football instincts, adaptability, and poise. Words like leader and tone setter have started surfacing in internal discussions, not about the quarterback room or even the Saints' top draft picks, but about this 4th-round linebacker who's quietly taking ownership of his reps. The tone from respected Saints insiders like Nick Underhill has shifted as well. When Stzman's name comes up, the usual media language changes. No one's calling him a future Hall of Famer, but they are calling him something even rarer, a player who makes the room fall silent during film review. That's when you know he's earning real respect. And it's not just that he's flashing potential, it's that he's doing it through execution, not performance. The Saints haven't paraded him out for the cameras. They're keeping things quiet for a reason. They know what they have, and rather than build a narrative, they're building a foundation. One of the key reasons Stzman is being taken seriously is the advanced metrics backing up his game. While college football tends to glorify total tackles, a more telling stat is stops, plays where the defender turns an offensive gain into a failed play. It's here that Stzman truly separates himself. Compared to other linebackers in the 2025 draft class, many of whom were picked well before him, Stzman led the field in generating failed plays. The numbers weren't close. This wasn't just a productive player, this was a game wrecker. And more importantly, these weren't meaningless plays in garbage time. They came in crucial moments, 3rd downs, red zone stands, goal line clashes, where every inch mattered. Stzman has already shown he knows how to end drives, not just slow them down. That's not coaching, that's instinct, that's preparation. That's the kind of vision NFL teams spend years trying to coach into young defenders. Somehow, the Saints found a guy who already has it. Stzman's tackling wasn't just high volume, it was high leverage. More than 70% of his tackles in college were classified as stops, compared to the average linebacker's 50%. That means nearly 3 out of every 4 times he made contact, the offense took a loss. That's rare, and for the Saints, who've struggled with consistency in their linebacker rotation, it's more than helpful. It's essential. What separates Danny Stzman even further from his peers isn't just the volume or efficiency of his play, it's his stamina and impact across a full workload. Most young linebackers see their performance dip the longer they're on the field. Stzman, he only sharpened. His stops per snap rate remained elite, no matter how many series he played. Over multiple seasons, he outperformed heavily scouted prospects like Schwesinger, Knight Jr., and Bassa, linebackers who had more draft buzz but not more game-changing results. Stzman wasn't just consistent, he was dominant. And in a league that punishes inconsistency, that's exactly the trait coaches cling to. The Saints didn't just draft a guy with upside, they drafted a player who already knows how to disrupt offenses every single down. There's no projection needed here. What he did in college isn't hypothetical, it's transferable. His game reads like a plug-and-play starter, someone who doesn't need to be molded as much as unleashed. But there's something even more valuable beneath the stat sheet: leadership. At Oklahoma, Stzman didn't lead with speeches or grandstanding, he led with presence. He showed up on every play, locked in, dependable. That kind of leadership doesn't scream, it steadies the team. And by his senior year, he wasn't just respected, he was counted on. In big moments, teammates turned to him. He wasn't just the linebacker making tackles, he was the emotional hinge of the defense. He took that responsibility seriously even when Oklahoma struggled. His improvement never plateaued. He went from leading the Big 12 in tackles to earning first-team All-SEC honors when Oklahoma made the conference move. Different opponents, different tempo, higher stakes, same Stzman. He elevated without flinching. That arc speaks to maturity and an internal drive that can't be coached. For the Saints, a franchise rebuilding its core identity, that's gold. And timing matters. The Saints' defense still has reliable veterans, Pete Werner, Demario Davis, and others, but it's clear the unit needs a new spark. Someone to bridge the gap between the old guard and the future. That's where Stzman fits. He doesn't have to start immediately, but he's already forcing the conversation. Coaches can't ignore him. He's stacking reps, earning trust, and showing that depth isn't his ceiling, it's just his starting point. While fans and media are locked in on the quarterback drama, whether it's Spencer Rattler or Will Shuck under center, the real story might be quietly unfolding on the other side of the ball. In Stzman, the Saints may have found more than a rotational linebacker. They may have found their future captain. Not in year one, maybe not even in year two, but the trajectory is there. The Saints didn't just draft a player, they drafted a tone. He's not looking for headlines, but he's demanding attention. Not with words, but with impact. Not with hype, but with execution. Every practice, every rep, every meeting, he's closing the gap between expectation and reality. And that's something few rookies ever manage, regardless of draft position. The scary part? He's still improving. His athleticism, while not elite by combine standards, shows up where it counts. On tape, in traffic, under pressure. He's instinctive in coverage, reactive against the run, and deceptively fast in pursuit. His game is clean, not perfect, but polished enough that veterans are starting to nod their heads when he lines up beside them. That kind of respect is hard-earned and impossible to fake. Danny Stzman may not have been a draft night steal in the eyes of national media, but inside the Saints building, that's exactly what he's becoming. A steal, a surprise, a future solution, all without ever asking for attention, just by doing the work. So now it's your turn, Saints fans. As we inch closer to the preseason, the spotlight will stay glued to the quarterback depth chart. But pay attention to number 28 on defense. Watch how he moves, how he reacts, how the veterans around him respond, because sometimes the players who change the game the most are the ones you don't hear about until it's too late.